What's up? What's up? What's up? We up late, 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 late. I just had to come through because the message I wanted to give with this specific video, it's gonna take too much editing for me to put in a short or a upload. So I decided I'm gonna come deliver it live, and if I choose to, then I'll clip it up from there, and that's how I'm gonna roll with that. But just give me a few minutes. Let me share my link on my wall. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Shout out to y'all in the chat, Larry, Nelson, Libero. I know it's very sad, and what's even more sad is the general message. If you go back and review that I've tried to maintain on YouTube is that I just felt like people came to YouTube doing the most. They came trying to act like people on YouTube were supposed to be putting up this defense. And the people who read the paperwork, I'm pretty sure they could comprehend exactly my position when I'm recognizing, hey, these people on these platforms, they doing a hell of a lot. But as far as the paperwork from the attorneys, I don't see too much of nothing. I don't see this. I don't see this. I don't see much of a fight. And by the end of this video, it's gonna make it clear why, if you paid attention to the case, a lot of things that could have been nipped in the bud early on, that could have been resolved early on, was allowed to escalate. And as it was escalating, more charges and things were being manufactured right before our eyes. And that has been my problem and my position this whole time. Okay? So, the major emphasis that we're going to start with in our review are the major charges that were going to come R. Kelly's way, in which his attorneys openly admitted to knowing were going to be coming, right? They said when Surviving R. Kelly came out, they were expecting these charges, right? But for some strange reason, people didn't want to observe that while they was doing all these interviews, getting all this exclusive information from these janky ass sources, the premise of what I'm saying is if you watched those attorneys, you would see how I noticed the change. You would observe why I could maintain that that man had an ineffective counsel from the beginning. So when I started to come to my platform with the simple question, who sent these attorneys? Because at the end of the day, it really don't matter who sent them, who referred them. None of that even is relevant other than the fact that I'm telling y'all sum up with these attorneys. All right. Now, in the beginning, people would think that Greenberg was doing all this and doing all that. But then when he started coming public making some troubling statements and nobody had nothing to say about it, meanwhile, you had all the super fans trying to make their way to go get pictures with him, go set up certain meetings. And you'll hear in this video where Greenberg will point out that one of them in particular that was coming against me submitted a motion on R. Kelly's behalf that he had to go back in and shut down because, again, it just shows how much bullshit these people inserted themselves in that should never have occurred, period. And it's more premise when we talk about a new trial for ineffective counsel to be the major focal point before we talk about people's hurt feelings that keep passing the blame of who did this and who did that, when I clearly said I'm gonna step back and watch y'all do it all since y'all got all the motherfucking information. You did. But let's get this shit popping. We're gonna start with the first video that I prepared, right? First video, and it's gonna give a lot of context to what I'm saying right now, as far as from the attorney's position to the super fans position. I saw red flags everywhere, right? Hold on, I don't know what this is, man. And just for the record, I do have a playlist, and it's called the infamous tape scandal, or it's worded something like that. But in that playlist, you will see pretty much majority of the videos that I did on topic when it came to the tape. Because as I said, if you watch Surviving R. Kelly, you would have picked up on the three major points from Surviving R. Kelly that I focused on, which was the infamous tape, the marriage certificate, and Asriel Clary's storyline. So let's start with the first one, the infamous tape. Now, it wasn't for me to get on these platforms and keep going back and forth with people and what everybody knew according to them, especially when we can observe that the damn attorneys are not fighting against the so-called evidence and the chain of command, which was a legal fighting. That was a legal point that could have been mentioned. So when we heard Greenberg come out and request the communication between Kim Fox and Michael Avenatti, and then all of a sudden it gets quiet, I feel like, again, it just showed either something was going on behind the scenes. People came to the platforms talking about Greenberg had R. Kelly's life rights. You had people coming talking about this documentary they were putting together, straddling the fence, not wanting to tell people that it wasn't for R. Kelly or against him. From their perspective, it was supposed to be a mutual documentary from what I observed from it. But anyways, let's go to this first video, and it'll put into perspective what I'm about to discuss and break down, and also break down the receipts as to the red flags that I was actually showing the people who wanted to recognize that I'm not going to sit here and be all in the midst of the shit that they got going on just because they're slow and want to act like they're on the damn defense team doing the most. Hold up. Okay, let me share my screen.
You think you know, but you have no idea. This is Surviving Lies.
The case has gone as well as the federal government assumed it would go. There's a couple of different components to this case. There's the manufacture or production of child pornography, which involves 3 videotapes. There's a 4th videotape, but it doesn't exist. They haven't been able to produce it. They haven't been able to find it. On those, they actually have the videotape to produce. Young lady on the videotape came to court and said, "That's me on the videotape." So those charges against R. Kelly are troubling, and probably he probably won't be able to overcome those. But then there's the other aspects.
I got to remember to unmute. But anyway, from there, let's pause and think about what he's saying and remember the facts. At that time, there were supposed to be 4 videotapes. 3 was supposed to be coming from Michael Avenatti. 1 was supposed to be coming from Gloria Allred. What he said was there were some discrepancies with the evidence. However, he didn't come back and say that now, according to the documents that we all read, they were expecting the girl to come in and say, "Hey, I'm the person on the tape." Now, my obvious objection was, if that is the case, R. Kelly has already been on record saying it's not him on the tape. How the hell your attorney gonna come out here and pretty much say that this is something you're not gonna be able to overcome, because people are not comprehending that these are the reasons why I said certain evidence should have been authenticated. There are people with job titles that do stuff like that, and it ain't people on YouTube, okay? Duh. So if you got a witness to say this is me on the tape, wouldn't you want to provide something to authenticate that it's not? But yet, let's pause. Go back to the 2008 trial. In that trial, they told us that the girl was supposed to be 12 or 13. And if you think about it, that would fit in the line of how they want to run around here and call him a pedo. But as the story has been morphed, they upgraded the age from 12 to 13 to 14, right? So technically, if y'all want to be technical about the term, that's not pedophilia. That's a whole nother definition. But we're going to push that on to the side. Because again, what he just told us is that back then, the quality of this video that was supposed to be made in 98 or 99, whenever it was so poor that it was blurry. Nobody could authenticate who the people were. Now, if you went to the FBI report in 2008, you would recognize that the FBI declared that they could not verify the identity of the woman on the tape. So let's fast forward 20 fucking years. You mean to tell me that we're supposed to believe that this tape was not manipulated or edited in any way, form, or fashion to believe that this tape that was once blurry and unrecognizable is now crystal clear? We could tell. It's clear as day. You can look at it and know for a fact it's R. Kelly and this girl. Even though if you read the transcripts, you would notice that one of the other Jane Does that was on the stand thought she was on the tape. So make it make sense. But I'm going to let this go ahead and play.
There's the obstruction of justice counts. Some of them deal with preventing witnesses from cooperating in the earlier state court prosecution. And with those, I think the government's witnesses were not so good. They didn't come forward and say, hey, they paid me to not do this. In fact, they said that, well, we were friends. He was my godfather. He took care of me because he loved me. And then there's some other counts involving some other minors. And again, the witnesses on those counts, I don't think were very convincing based on the tweets that I read in the newspaper articles.
So Paul, right, according to him, in that state case, the only thing that he felt would have been the nail in the coffin was this tape, on the premise of having this witness to come and say she's on the tape, not to fight that. Okay. And then to look at it, now we're going to say these other people in the same paperwork, they didn't seem credible, including the witnesses that they were using that clearly tried to extort this man, that they tried to flip as obstruction of justice.
Sort of what the government found out here is that the people that were involved in this case were not their normal white collar witnesses. And anytime I think the feds get involved in what's more akin to street crime or 26 in California stuff, sometimes the witnesses get beat up a bit more than they thought they would.
Defense is now going to come in, and he's got some dogged defense attorneys in the federal case. R. Kelly does. How do you overcome what, by all accounts, is the damning video evidence that some say clearly shows an R. Kelly having sex with clearly underage girls? How do you even begin to overcome that in defense of him? I
don't know, quite frankly, that they can, and I don't know that they're really going to try to do that. I think that it is all.
Now, first off, you do notice that he's saying there. I don't know what they. So that would indicate to you that he ain't handling this. So again, the fact that these people can come out here with this mask on and have presented themselves to be a beacon of light for R. Kelly, like they was going to help him, like they had all the information to free him, like these cases were invalid, he was going to walk up out of here. And then years after the fact, he in jail and can't get the fuck out on bond. Now everybody want to change their tune and all this and all this. This was clear as day and all this other stupid ass shit. But this was supposed to be his counsel who was still on his team for another case. So again, does this not lay the foundation of why I can see an ineffective counsel? Am I crazy? Am I crazy? Or would you feel some type of, if your attorney on the platform saying this about you and your case? If this were the case, why would you be fighting this case if you knew that they had this damning evidence? You gonna tell me you gonna walk your ass up in court and still plead not guilty? All these years you have maintained you are not guilty. Because they got this crystal clear new footage. And they don't want to question the chain of custody and how they got this crystal clear footage all of a sudden. Okay.
He's been somewhat conceited that the jury was going to see this video. And I don't know that anyone's taking the position that it's not R. Kelly. In the state prosecution, in the 2008 trial, the quality of the video that was used was not as good as the quality of the video that they're using in this case. Back then, it was much harder to tell that it was R. Kelly. And the young lady in the video did not come forward and say, that's me in the video. In fact, she had given statements saying it wasn't her in the video.
Make it make sense. How 20 years ago the quality was so poor you couldn't tell. Like I said, like everybody's saying, even though people was on this platform, you could tell that was R. Kelly. I know for a fact that was R. Kelly. They gonna swear them down. They know that was R. Kelly. But everybody else can come to the clear consensus that tape was of poor quality. But all of a sudden, 20 fucking years later, it's crystal clear. And it wasn't edited. It wasn't switched. Nothing happened to the tape to make you question the chain of custody, which is what attorneys are supposed to fight, not YouTubers, right?
Now she says she lied back then. It is her in the video. Her mother also came to court and said it's her in the video. So, sometimes you can't get anywhere with a certain count on a case. And that might be the case here. And the question is just what can you do to mitigate the overall damage in the bigger picture?
So the dude was like, okay, I'm gonna put out that this nigga was in a sex video with a young minor. Now, I'm not lying to you. Everybody can tell y'all this happened on YouTube. Trent put out the video of him and the minor, okay, on YouTube. And it got struck because, you can't have that type of stuff on YouTube. We got struck.
With a minor.
Make this make sense. Now, when I come show y'all the premise behind the beef between me and Liver Lips, oh, it was funny. Ha, ha, ha. Prima hoe. Prima the prostitute. All this and all that. It's funny. But the common sense is, if this motherfucker ain't a supporter according to the drunk piglet, why the fuck was he over here with his $1 million initiative? Why the fuck was he over here perpetrating with them women like they were sisters? And everybody want to get mad at me because I can sit here and tell you ain't no way in fucking hell you gonna convince me that them women are R. Kelly's real sisters. Now, if y'all want to put some shit together behind the scenes and portray them like that, and if he want to be the one to accept them, that's another subject. Ain't my battle. I don't give a shit about. But at the end of the day, who are you to fucking get mad at me? Because I say it's janky as fuck. Furthermore, who are you to sit here and sideline these niggas that want to sit here and use this shit as a monetary gain to be on bullshit when I'm telling you these niggas think R. Kelly guilty? Somebody make this shit make sense. The fuck?
Kelly.
Okay.
R. Kelly with a minor.
Don't take a genius while I could point out an ineffective counsel before I'll argue with slow people on the internet.
All right, that was the first clip that I put together. Are we putting it together? You got an ineffective counsel. You got the super fans on YouTube who think the man guilty, running around here talking about where were the parents, waiting on the motherfucking lifetime check. One man ain't no enterprise. Meanwhile, motherfuckers mad at me because I'm sitting here like, y'all this shit stupid. Because if you think the man guilty, don't nobody give no fuck about no civil rights violations. What the fuck is you talking about? Nobody give a fuck about that shit. When I tell y'all, why the fuck is you over here trying to sue a motherfucking victim when wouldn't that be R. Kelly's motherfucking job to do? Or his attorney's job to do? Not no fan club member, motherfucker. Every time I try to be the voice of reason with these goofy ass motherfuckers, they want to play these games. So guess what? 2020 motherfucking 6, I'm going to be popping out, talking my shit. Because again, how the fuck your attorneys up here throwing you out here to the wolves, your motherfucking super fans throwing you out to the wolves, and motherfuckers behind the scenes think they just gonna be barking orders and shit. Bitch, I done told y'all I don't work for no motherfucking body. No motherfucking body. Hold on. Hold on. We finna go to another video though. Cause this was Greenberg's attitude before. Hold on, where did the video go? Where you go? Okay, this is his attitude before he got down with the get down. And at this time, this was 6 years ago. The video I just played a while ago was him 3 years ago. So 3 years after his client been sitting in motherfucking jail, this goofy ass motherfucker gonna come out here with a new tune talking about he don't think he could overcome this case, this tape. Motherfucker, ooh, this shit's stupid than a motherfucker. I'm telling you, this shit's stupid.
Motion asking to preserve all communications with any witness, police, prosecutor, attorneys, and so forth. And then we learned something that I knew that Michael Avenatti was involved with some of the people in this case, but I think what the state said is he represents witnesses in each of the cases, which is just crazy to me.
Yeah, it's crazy to me too. But instead of getting on his motherfucking head, somebody gonna have to explain to us, the people who witnessed it, how the hell his little comrade, what's his name, Daryl Johnson, done slithered his way in. He told us he didn't work for R. Kelly, he worked for Greenberg, and everybody want to skip past how he done came in and trumped up another charge that ain't have shit to do with R. Kelly. But again, all these people can come out here and break the law, as they say, to try to change the law, and won't get mad at me because I say, go get your stupid ass locked the fuck up then. I bet it won't be me.
Seems to blow up, and that's what's going to happen here. Well, we'll see what this stuff shows. But I think it's obvious when he was coming in here, he was having press conferences, he was spending hours and hours meeting at the state's attorney's office, that some kind of influence was going on. He was having very public outcries to do something. You have to do something. I also have a problem with the fact that he was representing witnesses before the grand jury, and he is not licensed to practice in Illinois. That is the unauthorized practice of law, and it's improper.
Hey, didn't they have a problem with that in Diddy case when the other dude over there soliciting all them motherfucking victims and trying to put in his paperwork, but he didn't have the paperwork in order to do so, so he had to give up his clients? Is that why old Michael Avenatti slid to the background? Huh? Is that why people want to keep skipping around while I can keep challenging the chain of custody with his janky ass motherfucking witnesses and clients while his ass sitting in jail right now for extortion? Somebody make it make sense. The fuck? And furthermore, talking about he got a problem with it, lawyer. Why he didn't enforce a gag order? See, that's another problem I had. All these people was on YouTube doing the most, doing all this goofy shit. Why in the fuck was there not an enforced gag order? Because from what I was told, there was supposed to be one. So explain to me why people thought it would be cool to pass their little messages and rhetoric through other dumbasses who got on this platform and again, exposed too much. Then want to get mad because people like me screenshot and recorded all the bullshit.
I'm sure he'll say otherwise. I suggest people take a look at the law.
Kelly's former crisis manager, Daryl Johnson, yesterday on a third-degree aggregate theft charge. He's accused of defrauding two people out of tens of thousands of dollars.
Now, what happened to that?
More people are coming forward with new claims, including a family who says they were scammed out of millions. Arcion Rhodes is...
Somebody figure this out. Why the fuck all the janky ass motherfuckers always getting referred to R. Kelly? Why? And then people want to come out here talking about nobody wants to get involved. Don't nobody want to be involved with no janky shit. What the fuck is y'all talking about? The hell? Don't this look more and more stupid the more you reveal all the shit that people weren't looking at? And that's another thing. If people were watching the news, they would have been able to peep why ain't nobody in their right mind gonna sit here and get themselves locked up doing this stupid shit. Ain't nobody gonna sit here and do all this goofy shit fundraising, scamming the people, involving themselves in another man's case, and then have the audacity to get mad because somebody can literally tell them every time this shit dumb. This shit dumb. Oh, but wait. Let's talk about the hearing when Greenberg, before he switched up his tune, when he was asking about the so-called evidence 6 years ago.
Kelly?
Good morning. For the record, Mr. Kelly has 4 matters before the court.
Morning, Steve Greenberg on behalf of Mr. Kelly.
Okay.
Jennifer Gonzalez on behalf of the people. Today, legal forthcoming to that.
All right. Good morning. First of all, we're dealing with status on discovery on the 4 cases.
Judge, today the state is filing our motion for discovery as well as our answer to discovery on each of the 4 cases. In addition, we have tendered.
Now, if y'all remember, it was a whole lot of stalling with the discovery in the beginning. A whole lot of stalling. Then they come to the point, oh, we don't want to give over this because the attorneys are doing this and that, and people want to skip around. Well, maybe if y'all weren't doing all this janky shit publicly, trying to include the attorneys, maybe people wouldn't have the impression of that. So even if the attorneys weren't on the up and up, why y'all want to come out here and keep trying to include them in some bullshit? You want to record them. You want to sit here and keep putting them up against this person, talking about this person stealing. Y'all do all this shit in the middle of this man motherfucking case. And you want to know why I personally sit here and say, even if the man wanted to hire and fire new attorneys, that ain't our motherfucking position to be involved in. Duh. The fuck? I would have did that shit right here 6 years ago. Fuck is y'all talking about? Shit stupid. Why would you wait till you get all the way to the trial, then you let the power of attorney come fire Greenberg's stupid ass and then put somebody else even more stupider in the position? This shit's stupid all the way around.
Numerous pages of discovery to counsel in each one of the cases. I told counsel before court started that in regards to case ending in 2761, there is a video, and in that matter, we will make that video available to counsel to be viewed, but we will not copy it and tender as discovery as it is tantamount to child pornography.
And Judge, we'll be filing a motion. I think we're entitled to our own copy of it. In fact, I would ask, what authority does the state have to not tender that?
So it's funny. She up here talking about they not gonna copy the discovery to get to the attorneys, but they ain't had no problem with all these criminals copying that shit, remanufacturing that shit, re-editing that shit. They ain't have a problem with that, huh? That wasn't a problem. The fuck? Can't make this shit up.
It's not a question of not tendering it. The state, obviously, it's Brady material, so it would be tendered. The question is, because of the nature of the, I don't know, is it a video or what type of?
It is a video.
All right. Because of the nature of the video and the statutes dealing with child pornography, there would have to be some type of protective order or something that makes sure that that particular video is protected.
Now we're gonna pause right there because you recall 6 years ago it was videos. 3 years ago, you just heard him say there was a disappearing act with the so-called evidence. You get the trial, you talking about the shit they got, which was some type of USB drive or whatever the fuck it was, wouldn't even play. So then they had to resort back to old images. Something make this shit make sense, but they got this clear-cut image. See, this is why this shit pissed me off. Because a first level paralegal could have did a better job defending this motherfucking case than sitting here letting all the time pass by, kind of like how I feel about these motions now, when it seemed like to me we're gonna let this book come out with Rashona Landfair allegedly. We're gonna let the book come out first, then we're gonna come back with a motion, even though we've already put in the air we're supposed to have this evidence to prove that she was coerced into testifying. Even though I believe that from the beginning, considering if you looked at the wording from the beginning, how the government put her in the paperwork as a witness, it was apparent to me they weren't sure if she was going to testify or not. And if you look at the information that also came out with the Tasha K leak, and the fact that they said during the Surviving R. Kelly shit, she was still in contact with him and even got mad because he wasn't responding. So she took it upon herself to make an executive decision. Who's to blame the fact that, yes, she still could be lying to this day and conceded to being on that tape. But again, who the fuck's supposed to defend the fucking evidence? Don't you think if they had fought the fucking janky ass chain of custody and evidence from the conception, maybe there would have been an opportunity for the witness to change her mind as far as participation to the coercion they allege. See what I'm saying? The fuck?
And not viewed where it shouldn't be.
Right, absolutely, and I suggest that the state prepares a proposed protective order, or I'll be happy to prepare a proposed protective order, but obviously we're gonna have to get a copy.
Absolutely, and that's a deal matter we can deal with as we go along. Okay.
That's fine, Judge. The
All
state
right.
will have an objection, but we can deal with it.
So yeah, y'all get the point in this video. Like I said, there's a whole playlist. I don't know if you can see it on the screen. Let me see. It says janky evidence sex tape scandal. Y'all can go look at this playlist, and it's a playlist of all the videos I did on the topic. It gives you the backstory to why I began to give reasonable doubt to the information that was put out, not only during his first trial when it came to these surprise witnesses and how Lisa Van Allen was debunked back then, but the fact that they bring her back. And then, like I say, when they include Daryl McDavid into this so-called obstruction, he gets acquitted. Now all of a sudden his attorney is representing R. Kelly, and he over here bullshitting from my perspective. Let's go back to what Lisa Van Allen said about Daryl McDavid. What did she say, y'all? What she say?
One of R. Kelly's former girlfriends says she feared for her life after appearing in a sex video with him and an underage girl, taking the stand today in his federal trial.
WGN's Julian Cruz has more from the Dirksen.
Now, you notice how they just said that, but they didn't introduce it properly. What they should have said was the girl from the infamous tape who once alleged she was a minor when she met R. Kelly, who obviously lied and wasn't a minor, engaging with who she claims to be a minor and should be prosecuted as such. That's how the fuck that should have went, but that's neither here nor there.
Federal building.
Good evening. Blistering cross-examination in this hard-fought legal battle. 42-year-old Lisa Van Allen testifying at R. Kelly's child pornography and conspiracy trial here at the Dirksen Federal Building. She says that she was coerced into threesomes with R. Kelly and a 14-year-old girl, videotaped on at least one occasion by R. Kelly himself. According to the witness, she testifies that she felt threatened by Kelly's business manager.
Hold on. On at least one occasion. So if it was on at least one occasion, again, how you get a cloudy, blurry footage from the past, now all of a sudden it's crystal clear. You can clearly see them on it. The fuck, who is they talking to? Yeah, I know they wanted y'all to forget. That was the point. That's why I said all these people, they wanted to play these little games. They ain't mad at Prima Donna. They mad at themselves because they came out here and made a fucking fool of themselves, and they're on the wrong side of history. Because at the end of the day, like I said, I'm not gonna be on these platforms arguing about what people believe and what people think and all that other stupid ass shit. If you say you're supposed to be interested in the law in these cases, like most people who look like me, who want to have a voice and say, hey, I might have experienced some injustice in my case, but I didn't know how to maneuver. It's a shame that you can't get on platforms and seek out help from people who could give you proper guidance. Like, for example, the people that want to sit around talking about, oh, why don't you give some codes and laws, and bitch, why don't you do it? Instead of always motherfucking thinking I'm supposed to get on here and waste all my time doing some shit, and then next thing you know, I'm gonna have 5 zoo animals coming at me like I give a fuck. So make it make sense. If you see me put out some information that could be beneficial, and you have the knowledge to be able to articulate it in a better form, you could put it in a legal argument. Why wouldn't you suggest that to me instead of always trying to critique me like I give a fuck about your opinion? The fuck?
You made money off your relationship with R. Kelly, didn't you? Alleges defense lawyer Bo Brinley. Made money. I was given money, the day's star witness says. You wrote a book about your relationship with R. Kelly, he counters. I wrote a book about my life, she says. The gloves coming off and bruising cross-examination at R. Kelly's.
Girl, that book was not called The Life of Lisa Van Allen. The fucking book was called, what the fuck was that shit called? Surviving the Pied Piper. So we not gonna do this shit. These people got their book deals because they were able to associate a story to R. Kelly. Then they stupid ass got finessed out their story when it came to Lifetime specifically. So if you want to ask me why I said they some dumbasses, but I ain't have to come out here and harass, attack, or bully, because what I'm essentially saying is to go talk about some mute R. Kelly and skip that. Look at what's going on now. They not trying to mute no motherfucking R. Kelly. That's the motherfucking cash cow. The fuck, it don't matter what people think about R. Kelly. You ain't gonna be able to deny his musical abilities at the end of the motherfucking day, period, point blank. So that shit's stupid as hell. That's equivalent to you sitting here talking about you have a problem with people abusing kids, but you gonna run to the motherfuckers who enable people abusing kids. Like, that shit's stupid as hell. Stupid as hell. I didn't see nobody rallying to Disney. I didn't see nobody rallying to Nick at Night, what this shit called? Nickelodeon. I didn't see nobody rallying when all these children was talking about their horror stories. Where the fuck they had to take a back seat to all these Me Too casting couch bitches, and they hurt feelings. Then they want to get mad because somebody talking about some you're victim shaming. Ain't nobody fucking victim shaming. That's common fucking sense. I'm more sympathetic to these children out here being motherfucking abused than to sit here and let 40-year-old women come talk about some shit happened in 1995. You can't prove the motherfucking shit. And they some habitual liars on top of that who got on these platforms and exposed their motherfucking self. Hello? Shit stupid.
Chicago trial defense attorneys focusing on what they contend are glaring contradictions. There have been multiple occasions where your story keeps changing. No, that's not true, she says, the 42-year-old star witness of the day pushing back.
So they point on the stand how her story always changing. Same thing I pointed out, even with her trying to go to the people talking about she was 17, she was a minor. So when I can bring to the public why I could have reasonable doubt to why I believe the government was misrepresenting these ages, they were willing to take anybody who could say, well, yeah, this happened when I was 16 or 17. And then the people that's slow can't understand, well, how they gonna prove that? If this happened in 1995, did nobody go to the police? Did nobody file no reports? They don't have no physical evidence. We're supposed to just let all these motherfucking bad acts just congregate on these social media platforms talking about keep R. Kelly down, and ain't nobody supposed to say shit, because if you do, you're gonna be the victim of being gang stalked and people running around talking about volunteers are not victims. Meanwhile, they stupid ass volunteered to be the perfect crash out to some fucking fools. Yeah, I couldn't make this shit up if I fucking tried. That's why I recorded it.
Former Robert Kelly girlfriend Lisa Van Allen says it was a frightening encounter with a menacing Daryl McDavid, the famous singer's business manager. He said they should have murked me from the beginning, Van Allen testifies as she breaks down in tears. Assistant U.S. Attorney Jason Julian following up. What did you interpret the word murk to mean, he asks. Kill me, Van Allen testifies. The former girlfriend taking the stand on the 9th day of Kelly's trial at the Dirksen Federal Building. On the stand, Van Allen talks about her motive for stealing one of Kelly's sex tapes, the one with the threesome, disturbed by the participation, she says, of a 14-year-old girl by the name of Jane, a pseudonym to protect her identity. The subsequent hunt for the stolen tape and copies circulating on the streets, spearheaded by McDavid, one of Kelly's co-defendants. You say you were afraid. Why were you afraid? He asked Van Allen. I never knew that they were thinking about killing me, she responds, bursting into tears. Prosecutors alleging McDavid and R. Kelly himself offered hundreds of thousands of dollars to Van.
You see how she threw that shit in there? Now, if they put some shit like that in the RICO, I probably would have been more interested in the way they tried to fabricate this whole trafficking bullshit. Because that would have been a whole, I don't know what the fuck they thought with that stupid shit. But again, if people had focused on the facts, it would have been obvious why you can't prove no if you couldn't prove no trafficking in Diddy case when he got a book of motherfucking escorts, money, guns, and drugs. This shit's stupid. And to be honest, again, the only reason why I stay on this topic is because I see the bullshit. I saw it years ago. But because people kept coming to me, oh, these are supporters. Oh, they doing this. They had all this hope. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of hoping y'all can see what I see. Now I'm just going to make my voice heard a little bit more. Because I'm tired of it. I'm telling you, this shit is not right.
Van Allen and others in a frantic effort to recover the missing underage sex tape and suspected copies. Van Allen testifying she actually received tens of thousands of dollars in payments from McDavid, agreeing to undergo several polygraph tests at McDavid's behest. Van Allen later turning state's witness, contacting prosecutors in the lead up to Kelly's 2008 child pornography trial in Cook County.
How come? Let's compare this and Diddy. Didn't they try to act like Diddy did the same shit to the KK girl and that was considered kidnapping, but then they withdrew that charge, and that's another reason why they missed the mark when it came to the racketeering, because they started pulling back some of the charges and they didn't overcharge him like they did R. Kelly. Do you recognize all of the uncharged acts that they had on standby trying to bring into court? And another red flag, even when you go over to the New York case, like I said, most situations like that, they separate the cases if they got all these witnesses, but because they try to use them as bad act witnesses to form these predicate acts, they allowed all of these people to come in there and taint the jury about the character of this individual. So again, when people be trying to compare the differences, look at how they spent R. Kelly's shit to be all about relationships and love and all this. This is toxic love. See how they spent that shit. But because people were not being able to focus in on why I doubted the ages that were being implicated in the indictments, why I could contest the fact that even if he met a person when they were 16, can you prove there was a sexual encounter? Yes or no? These are simple motherfucking questions, right? Well, we're going to go to another one. Because, yeah, this was another one where you can tell this was before whatever influence got to Greenberg. He was acting like he was fighting hard for R. Kelly. But it's mighty funny, like I said, after he been in there for a couple years of him talking about, oh, it's COVID. I don't want to go down there and get contaminated. Oh, just all these excuses to not go and visit his client and prepare for his case. Then to come out here with this goofy shit, he told me he did marry Aaliyah, all that goofy ass shit. That's an ineffective counsel, period, point blank.
One of the cases seems to be a rehash of the conduct he was acquitted for. Double jeopardy should apply to everyone, including R. Kelly.
You hear this shit? 6 years ago, double jeopardy should have applied. There was no case, right? 3 years after that, when they knew he wasn't getting a bond, they knew he wasn't getting the fuck up out of there, and they knew they wasn't trying to defend the motherfucking thing, then all of a sudden, ain't no coming back from, man, y'all motherfuckers crazy as fuck. Fuck.
That case shouldn't have been brought. And the last case is a case that involves some allegations in the late 2000s. I know the police have been aware of those allegations. They investigated them. And unfortunately, the state's attorney now succumbed to public pressure, to pressure from grandstanders like Michael Avenatti and Gloria Allred, and brought these charges. Mr. Kelly is strong.
He felt like, somebody make this make sense. If he felt like that, and even when he started asking for the communications between Kim Fox and Michael Avenatti, why didn't he stand on that? Why didn't he push that issue? Why didn't he push malicious prosecution? Why didn't he push the misconduct element? Why didn't he push any of those factors, even things I didn't even mention, that could have helped his client? The fuck?
He's got a lot of support, and he's going to be vindicated on all these charges, one by one if it has to be. Thank you.
One by one. One by one. See that? See, that's the problem with them. One by one. See, that's why I know these people slow too. Because it didn't even have to take no one by one. Because the way I did it, if you looked at it, these people one by one led you down the tunnel. And each time they got on here and went live and posted this and posted that, they exposed the most. And it didn't take trying to separate these cases into 3 cases, which was the state and 2 federals, when you could have lumped all that shit together, which is another problem I had. They did all this shit to monopolize the way they was structuring these charges, and they did that strategically. Now, with that being said, if we can put these cases out here like that, we could cause all this animosity and friction with the defense. We can see his defense is ineffective as fuck. And the people that's supposed to be supporting him gonna be focused on who like who don't like who, all this other shit that don't mean shit. While people playing in your face talking about they got all the information. Well, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where? Bo shouldn't need no motherfucking time because y'all got it all, right? Shit ain't adding up. And, you know, like I said, EJ, it's a certain level of accountability that I hold on R. Kelly, because you would have had me fucked up thinking I'm not going to speak my piece. But the thing that I tried to have was compassion, because this man, y'all don't realize, if this man, according to Greenberg, been sitting in his cell 23, 24 hours, do y'all know how mentally draining that could be? Do y'all know how that takes a hold to somebody's mental state of mind? So we don't know what the fuck going on in this man's head. We don't know the condition, nothing. Because every time something pops out, we get misinformation from the attorneys, from the supporters, from the people supposed to be from the inner circle. It's always some fuck ass bullshit. Because they have made it to where you can't get it directly from the horse's mouth no more. Right? Right? So how would I know why he didn't do this or why he didn't do that? For me, that took a backseat to the fact that I see corruption and injustice playing out. So when I don't like when people would always try to put that in my face, like, why you act like R. Kelly didn't do that? I don't know what the fuck R. Kelly did. But what I'm showing you and telling you is why I don't believe these charges that were strategically structured against him. That's what I said, clear as day. I'm not in that man's household. I don't know what the fuck he be having going on, what he doing, what he don't do. But my point remains the same. If he was doing this and people had a problem with it, they should have motherfucking took their ass the fuck home. I got a real job. Ain't no way in the fuck I'm gonna be sitting around trying to leech off the next person. Oh, I'm gonna stick around. These people got on platforms saying shit like releasing text messages that give you insight to the state of mind of these women. Like take Haley Calhoun, for example, one of the Jane Does. She talking about she's sticking around to get some breast jobs. Now let's factor this in. This man's supposed to be a pedo. Why would he be sitting here getting these girls' body enhancements and all that if he's attracted to prepubescent teens? Huh? Do that make sense to you? And furthermore, if a girl want to sit around and talk about, oh, he doing this and he doing that to me, but I'm going to stick around so he could buy me some boobs, why would I give a fuck? These are simple statements that I made that had people feeling some type of way. But it didn't take me going to look up people private information, trying to tell you, go get them fired, go do this, go do that. I didn't solicit nobody to do shit because that ain't my position. All I told you to do was go read. Reading is fundamental, you know, because if you read, you would understand why. How is the people on these platforms, including myself, what we look like fighting harder for a man while his defense is leading him to the slaughter? What we look like coming out here with our cape on while his so-called inner circle sitting back just talking about the music. The music. Y'all gonna get some music. Got the god sister out here talking about this his last birthday or this his last year or whatever. Motherfucker, y'all been saying that shit for 6 motherfucking years with all the information to free him. Even though his attorney done came out here 3 years ago and ain't nobody say a bitch ass thing about why he wasn't gonna overcome the so-called infamous tape. So when you have people on these platforms play beefing, showing the tape, doing all this, talking about, yeah, he did do this and yeah, he did do this. Hey, what you getting mad at me? Because I don't want to be affiliated with no stupid shit like that. I don't give a fuck who they support. I don't support stupidity. But that don't mean because I see people having problems with one another, I'm going to include myself in their beef or take on their beef when, like I said, that would be equivalent to me having a problem with everybody that like the super fan. I don't have a problem with you. I just don't fuck with you. You see the difference? But if me not fucking with you causes a problem, that's your own personal problem. You see how that go? See, that's what I feel the problem with Kels was. He should have let some motherfuckers go. You show me red flags, I'm not fucking with you, period, point blank. Ain't gonna be no let's pray about it. Let's do, ain't fuck all of that shit. It's a wrap, done deal. Anywho, let's see. So, okay. And as far as the other girl who if y'all went through the transcripts, y'all can recall, even she got caught up in a lie because she was the girl talking about she met R. Kelly in 1999 at a women's expo. And then she insinuated that again, like I mentioned earlier, she thought she was the girl on the tape. So it just seemed apparent to me that when they were shopping around trying to solicit all of their victims, maybe they was doing some shit like these motherfuckers did in Diddy case, running around talking about they got these sex tapes of these people. And how do I know they weren't trying to send them to these people talking about, I got your tape, I don't know what the fuck they could have been doing, but guess whose job it was to investigate it, right? And then when you see the devious behavior of these so-called advocates to get on these platforms, and the first thing they do when they have a problem with a female, they want to sexualize her. They want to put all these sexual deviancies out here on the forefront. And you wonder why I ain't fucking with it. Period. Shit's stupid.
We're hearing from a young woman who says she met R. Kelly when she was just a teenager working as an intern. Speaking out in a Dateline interview that'll air tonight, she accuses Kelly of abusive behavior. We're also hearing from the embattled singer's attorney.
I was in love with him. I just didn't know what to do. Like, I didn't know if this was normal. I didn't know if this.
Now, if it's a video I did on her, you can go look it up, Tracy Sampson. And there was a specific couple witnesses that could have came in and maybe added to the discrepancies in her testimony, especially with her age. Like I said, if people want to keep coming in, I was a minor, why don't you bring in people who could constitute the fact that wasn't nothing going on like that? Even if they met when they were 16 or 17, this wasn't that. It was a specific individuals that this girl, Tracy Sampson, went to trying to say that something was going on. And she says that the woman slapped her or was abusive to her as well. Why wasn't she involved in the case? When the super fans mentioned that I said there's plenty of people that could have been put on the witness stand, I don't give a shit how they were put on the witness stand if you subpoenaed them or not. The point is, you can't sit here and pick and choose from these stories and skip pertinent information that would shed more light on the situations being embellished and demonized and criminalized.
This is how adults acted. Like, I just didn't know. I didn't know.
Tracy Sampson says she was introduced to R. Kelly while working as an intern at Epic Records during the summer of 1999, starting when she was 16 years old.
And he's like, well, can I kiss you? And I was like, no. He's like, okay, well, give me a hug. And then, like, when I gave him a hug, he just started kissing me.
Sampson tells Dateline's Andrea Canning her relationship with Kelly lasted until she was 18. It was then that she broke things off and filed a lawsuit against the singer, accusing him of sexual abuse. Kelly denied having sex with her.
Nope. We can't just keep on from there. Because don't you find it odd that all of these people with these claims, they all were paraded to a specific attorney who was conveniently allowed not to show up in the New York trial, which I don't give a damn what the fuck happened in her personal life. I didn't know you could just miss court like that. But nonetheless, how the hell we just gonna keep skipping? She gonna sit here and say she met this man when she was 16. It was some weird shit going on. She ended up in a relation with him for the next 2 years till she was 18. She broke it off, then went and got an attorney to file a lawsuit. What the hell? What the hell? The fuck? Am I tripping? Again, what's up, everybody in the chat? I see y'all. I'm not trying to ignore nobody. I'm just trying to get to my points.
But settled with Sampson out of court for $250,000. Her first on-camera interview.
So pause. That's another thing. Speaking of the settlements, when we talk about these settlements, and if you recall, if you go do your research, R. Kelly, after so many, well, I ain't gonna say so many, it was maybe a handful, he decided, you know what, I'm not doing no more settlements. The cash cow is closed. So once that went out there, that was a problem for these people who were being enabled to go and make these frivolous claims and act like R. Kelly did this and R. Kelly did that. But if you ask me, how can you use these settlements that, from my perspective, these managers and or the record company gave the green light to settle, if R. Kelly himself tells you that he was pushed in front of all these cameras and told to focus on his music and to settle this and settle that. And then all of a sudden, 20 motherfucking years later, they come talking about some predicate acts, some bad act witnesses, a RICO. Somebody make this shit make sense.
Interview coming in the wake of anti-Kelly rallies outside of Sony Music headquarters in New York and Kelly's Chicago studio. Protesters calling for police action and an end to producing and playing R. Kelly's music. Lady Gaga, Celine Dion, and Chance the Rapper have all pulled their
Y'all hear that shit? Chance the Rapper. How the fuck Chance the Rapper? It took surviving R. Kelly for this goofy motherfucker to come say he gonna join the Mute R. Kelly campaign when his motherfucking drummer is the goddamn girl Rashona Landfair brother. So you gonna sit here and motherfucking tell me he didn't know that shit? Stop playing with me. Stop playing. And third of all, we already been through the fact that this whole financial strike against R. Kelly, again, they knew they was trumping up all this shit to come against him. They know how vital it is to have the finances to properly defend yourself in court. But if we could sit here and limit you, we could put this RICO act on you. And from most cases, when I know about RICOs, they pretty much seize your assets. So with that being said, if other people want to come and try to then extort, in a way, his fans to feel like they need to do all this shit to help him, but all the people who was in his motherfucking videos, all the people who benefited off his career for the past 30 years, all them people who got way more money than our motherfucking ass sitting on this goddamn app, they ain't got to do shit. We, the fans, are supposed to do it. And on top of that, the motherfuckers from Mute R. Kelly want to tell us we are the enablers because we support his music, even though we don't know him personally. And they the ones talking about it. They knew he did this and he did that, and they didn't do a bitch ass thing. So who enabled who? That sounds like complicity to me. So make it make sense.
collaborations with the chart-topping artist.
The record companies are abandoning him. Other artists are all of a sudden acting like they're shocked by these rumors that are floating around. He's having a very difficult time, but he's strong. He's tough. He wants to put out his music and continue performing for people, and I expect that's what he'll be able to do.
Kelly's attorney says he didn't represent the artist when Sampson alleges she was abused, but insists his client has done nothing wrong to her or any of the women who have come forward.
So is R. Kelly saying that all these women...
6 years ago, he said his client was going to beat them cases. His client did nothing wrong. 3 years passed. Y'all don't fight his charges. Y'all don't fight the evidence. You don't fight the witnesses. You don't fight shit. But then you come say there's no coming back from the infamous tape, even though when you get to court, you find out there's no tapes. They can't get the shit to play. And even though the shit's supposed to be so crystal clear, it don't play. I got to be in the fucking Twilight Zone, because this got to be the goofiest shit I ever in my motherfucking life. In my ever motherfucking life. Heard or seen. And to be so frustrated with the fact that what the fuck are we, the people watching this shit, supposed to do? Yeah, it'd be nice if I just sit over here and take it upon myself to write some letters and this and that. But again, that'd be equivalent to a motherfucker trying to act like the attorneys and write some shit and submit a motion knowing you don't know a motherfucking thing about case laws, how to apply it, the statutes, codes, all that shit. Wouldn't that be dumb as fuck? However, if people who were watching me, like I said, knew this information, knew how information could be dispersed to help aid the process, why wouldn't you focus on that instead of how you feel about the fact that I think this shit's stupid? And you know what I'm saying? And that's you see the hypocrisy. They'll sit here and rally around Usher, even though we'll skip the fact that didn't Gloria Allred represent some of his bump victims? and then she abandoned that and jumped on the Kel saga with Lizette Martinez, janky ass. We're gonna skip the fact that her clients were exposed on these very platforms because, again, they couldn't go sit their stupid ass down somewhere and let the process do what it's supposed to do. They wanted to try to be instant celebrities on this motherfucking app. We're gonna skip. Hold on, don't worry about it. I got you. I gotta show you who I'm talking about. I'm gonna show you who I'm talking about in case you don't know. That's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do.
Today, I'm attorney Gloria Allred, and with me is Lizette Martinez, and I will be making a statement, and then Ms. Martinez will be making a statement, and then we will.
Now, I ain't gonna lie. This video is also on my community wall. If y'all want to go watch it, I ain't gonna play it here because I'm getting ready to get up off here in a minute. But yeah. If you looked at Surviving R. Kelly, Lizette, she probably was the one of the few that I probably would have believed. I ain't gonna lie. When I looked at all the stories, she would have probably been the one that I believe. Oh, but what she fucked up at, she stood up here and got involved with the Rogers, the Clarys, the motherfucking Savages, brought her motherfucking goofy ass on these platforms, and then got exposed by LaToya X. You know, the Detroit accuser that somehow the police couldn't find and locate to question. The police couldn't find the Detroit accuser. However, YouTube did, and she was able to get the fuck on YouTube and get on the infamous Scamming Later platform, and they won't get mad at me because I said, why don't y'all clear up her fucking stories? The fact that Cash come out here talking about she trying to claim her book. The fact that Tasha K put out information, she was sending her information and this, and that. The fact that Tasha K exposed her for being a fake ass Jay-Z accuser. But she ain't had no problem airing out her R. Kelly story. Don't skip that part. Huh? Let's not skip that this same LaToya X that exposed Lizette was put in front of the key witness, Azriel Clary, talking about she got $4 million in a bank account she can't even touch. And his attorney, Nicole Becker, sent for her goofy ass. So, Lord, Jesus, take the wheel. Jesus, I'm telling y'all, because if I had just came live and just told y'all this shit, you wouldn't believe me. You wouldn't believe me. So I strategically put the screenshots in the form of a collage just to piss off the people who I'm looking at try to play over my information when all I'm saying is, bitch, y'all know everything, so why don't you come tell the people what the fuck is up instead of sitting over here watching me trying to refurbish what the fuck I say and then try to throw shade at me. How the fuck does that work? Can't make this motherfucking shit up. All of this shit is disgusting. All of this shit is disgusting. But going back to somebody else's comment talking about Buku, it was so many subtle things that I picked up on during that interview. And I'm not just going to come out here and say too much other than I don't know too many people who've been abused allegedly by their father who will still hold them in such high regards. You have to recognize that she said a lot when she said, even when her mother is wrong, she gonna ride with her. Right? So, with that being said, it's a lot of embellishments that occurred. And people could have went and got R. Kelly's divorce paperwork and read over it and recognized the deception. and the flaws with the storyline that they wanted to spin conveniently when R. Kelly is yet again trying to fight to get out. Now we want to push that he abused his own daughter type shit. But if that were the case, how crazy would you as a mother be all on this bitch talking about, that my baby daddy, buy that ticket, all that other bullshit. Are you motherfucking crazy? Are you fucking crazy? This shit crazy. Shit ain't adding up. Does anybody in the comments want to hop up and say something? Because I'm going to get ready and close this up. I pretty much hit a lot of the points that I wanted y'all to think about when it came to this tape. When it came to the fact that it's just certain information you're not going to be able to rewrite when you listen to these people talk on it, even today. Because like I said, the purpose in me going back and pulling out the people like Damon Pryor and et cetera, when I was able to pick up on Chuck and Keith and all that early on, everybody had the same opportunity that I had, you know. I didn't stop nobody from doing shit. I didn't interfere with nobody staying on topic. But what I wasn't going to do was let people include me in a janky ass sector that can't stay on topic to save their motherfucking life. When all I came here to do was give you why I say free R. Kelly. Period. With that being said, don't nobody want to hop up, I'm going to close this live up. Shout out to everybody in the chat again. Chris, I see you. Pastor, Bless, Talisa, D. Johnson. Who else up in here? All of y'all, I see y'all. I swear I do. I don't want to miss nobody. EJ, I don't want to miss nobody. Laverne, Larry. All y'all have a good morning. I'm about to get ready to homeschool in a few hours. And stay on the lookout for my content. If you haven't already, make sure your notifications are set to all, because if you have it on personalized, you're going to be missing my uploads, because this channel has been shadow banned for quite some time. Make sure your notifications are on all. You have an option to join my membership if you want exclusive breakdowns on the receipts, because again, so much time has passed with all of this, but I have absolutely no problem walking back my members as to point A to point B and how I met the fan club manager, how I encountered Cass Jones, how I encountered all these people that were brought to me that helped me form my own perception. So it's mighty funny that these people get on these platforms and want to act like I stole this and I don't give commentary and I don't do this and I don't do that. However, I keep them bothered like a motherfucker. And if that were the case, why don't none of them feel the same way I feel? Why don't they share my perspective if I stole their work? Like, come on, just make it make sense. That being said, y'all have a good morning. Peace and blessings to all of y'all. I appreciate the support. Go check out my website, www.freerkelly.info. It is free for those of you who don't want to be a member. Guess what? I got a whole website. Free. Just go, share, take whatever receipt you need. If you need any information on it, I have a contact. It's a contact box on my website. If you don't find it on there and you're on my social media, you can shoot me a message. I don't give out my email because obviously stupid ass people be trying to hack my shit. And obviously my Google Drive is very important to me, you know. Have a good one. See y'all on the next live or upload.